There we are. Hello. Says we're live, so I'm going to assume that's right. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. I've pushed so many buttons and it never did go live, so I had to go back and push again. Anyway, going to do something a little different today. Um, I'm a bowl turner. I do 90% of my stuff is bowl type of turning. Um, had a lady reach out to me. She was looking for woodworkers and said she had a piano chair that needed to be repaired. Had some legs that were broken, spindles that were broken. Um, she didn't call them that. She didn't know to call them that. But anyway, that's what she was saying. I responded back to her. I said, I've got, I'm a turner. That's what I do. And so let's meet up and I'll be glad to look at it, see if I can do that for you. So I get to her. She's got a nice piano chair, but it's got two legs like that. Both of them are, well, this one was completely broken off. The other one was partially broken. And they both have a stretcher that is connected right there. And both of them are broken. This one on both ends, the other was broken on the center end. So I two legs, two stretchers that I've got to make. That's the leg, and the stretcher is somewhere. Here it is. Ah, the stretcher. I got to do two of those eventually. But today we're going to see what we can do about getting one of these legs started. I'm going to start with this nice piece of, I think, maple. Um, I know it's hard enough that it threw the breaker on my table saw as I started to cut it, but it cut, and so I'm looking forward to cutting it, turning it. I've got some characters in the background that I've got Todd, I've got Wayne the Wood Wizard, and I've got Ruby the Queen of Turning. So
Good evening,
these guys are
everyone.
going to hopefully help me out. In fact, they've already helped me out. You may have noticed as I was showing you that has a hole drilled in it. I was going to leave that because it's on an angle, but I measured up where it was and guesstimated the angle, so I'm closer than just straight. I know that. But anyway, I'm going to put these guys back in the background. There we go. Glad to have you three with me today. By the way, I may very well need some help. Ah, 'cause I just don't do much in the way of spindle work. I do have,
That's what I do mostly anymore.
yeah, I do have both ends uh, marked for center, so I know where that is. Change my cameras here. There we go. I think this is the one that's going to do the most good for us today. And I may have to move that from time to time. I already see that I'm off camera on the other end.
Yeah, just remember which end's the top of the leg, Doug.
Yeah,
I was just thinking the same thing.
yeah. I've got this top end, and I'll show you here in a second. I've got it marked for the tenon to go in the into the chair bottom. There we go. You can see there. Well, if I unlock my spindle, you can see there I've got a mark or two marks actually. That's about a ½ inch apart for just for that tenon. I eyeballed that. I'm not even close. This needs to come out here. Now we're closer to a ½ inch, maybe a little longer, but I'll probably go from here all the way out with a ½ inch. In fact, that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to be working my way back toward the headstock so that the headstock end will be the bottom. So I'm going to start off with my little baby spindle roughing gouge just to get it around. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let one of these fine folks tell us who all's in the chat.
Any volunteers?
First one to talk.
You said
like-
that last week, Todd.
No, it's like stepping forward in the army, right? Well,
You
that's
join
not
the
what
Navy.
happened. Ruby and I stepped back, but same thing.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Alex is in. Wuzzle Wood Butcher. Wee Val is in. Evening, Val. Obviously Ruby's here. Roger Wallum is here. Ronald Todd from the West Bank of New Jersey is in. Paul Hunter's in. Malcolm Douglas. Michael's in. Michael McEwen. Oh, that jumped.
Probably right
Dale's
before.
in. Old Man
Yeah.
River. Mike Evans. Lucy's in. Good evening, Lucy. Todd of Glen Cove. Anthony Green. Thomas Kenny. Spun by Green Jeans. I'm still going down. I'll catch up. Pete from Twisted Trees. Morning, Pete. Frederick Day. Good evening, Frederick. Always get current weather information from Frederick. A cooler day in Kent. Current temperature 12 degrees C, 53 Fahrenheit. Slight intermittent drizzle. Otherwise, not a bad day. Thanks for that, Fred.
Sounds like a normal day in Ireland.
Doug Bennett's in. I'm still going down. Mike's in from Dancers. Evening, Mike.
Hey,
Hi,
Mike.
Mike.
I don't think that's maple. I think that's ash. Now that I see it without all the outer wood on it.
Did we get Roger Kent?
I think I did mention Roger.
Okay.
Always forget this guy's name. The Vineyard Farmhouse. Gary Hills is in. Ward's in. That'll be from the west coast of Arizona.
My
that's
goodness,
me.
and I'm looking outside and seeing a bright sunny day for a change.
Well, we are. The sun is not far from going down, but it's been a little bit breezy, but quite a pleasant day today. A little bit in the cool side, though.
Well, we had really high winds last night. I was surprised there weren't trees down all over the place. I even had my chainsaw ready.
And Lucy had sun this morning as well. And Rhea's in as well. Decker Timber Works. And Brian's in. Good evening, Brian. And he has said, good evening from the east coast of Northern Ireland, and shockingly, it's raining.
What did I say a while ago?
Well, that's how they keep it green over there.
Yeah. Oh, I know part of what I'm feeling. Part of what I'm feeling is that hole. All right, I'm pretty happy about that. That cleaned off pretty nicely.
Looks pretty straight from here.
It's not bad. I've still got a flat spot right there, but that's okay. The hole is there. That's one thing I was feeling that in this flat spot, but it's not bad. Okay.
Now, you're going to line that up with the one that's broken, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's only the one stretcher that comes out. This goes to the center. There's a center
Okay,
post.
what I would do is on the center of that hole is make a line all the way around.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Except
you
that that's
can
off center from
then
the
you
bead.
know then you can line that up with it and then make your marks accordingly left and right,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
It does. Um, anyway, I'll put
Was
another edge.
that on the original? The hole for the stretch is not on exact center of the bead, is it?
Yeah, it looks like it's a little
No,
towards the top.
it is. It is. And that's what I started to say a while ago.
That's why I would line everything up from where you've drilled the hole to where the hole is on that bead.
I picked up a pencil that's just as bad as the one I had.
And I don't know if it's my eyesight, but the hole for the stretcher on the original looks like it's going in at the opposite angle to the hole for the stretcher on the one you're turning.
No, they're both angled roughly the same direction.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly. It looks all a little off because of it being off the center of the bead. Because it's
Right.
up, it looks oval, and that
Yeah.
throws it off a little bit. This was a critical measurement here. Well, you can't see that. Dun, 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 dun. This measurement here is kind of critical. That's the top of my leg. So that'll all go down to a half an inch, which goes into the top of my, or in the bottom of my seat. So let's do that first. Get my calipers set.
So, Ruby, you said you were doing a bunch of spindle work lately,
Yeah.
and you mentioned a storyboard maybe before we went live. How many of these would you be making before you started with a storyboard? Is it worth it for two? I don't know if it's worth it for two.
For me, it would be because
I'd do it for one.
yeah, I do too. I would lay out the original against the board and then make all my marks for where the beads are, where the coves are, where the fillets are, where any holes have to be drilled. And I do that all the way along.
Interesting.
The first one takes some time. After that, they go very quickly. Like I might spend 40 minutes on the first one, and then the next one's maybe 15. That was like on that post I just made on Facebook about the faceplate turning for the corners for the doorways. The first one probably took me about 20 minutes, mainly to just lay out the pattern of what I wanted. And then after that, I don't think I spent 5 minutes on each one.
And Rob from Copperell's just come in as well. Evening, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Yeah, welcome along, everybody. It's so good to have you.
And Mike is saying that he got metal today. His supplier is now on a farm on a hill near Bromsgrove. Walk was a pain, but the view from the Cotswolds to the Malverns was amazing. I've taken Mike. Is that metal for the ring goblet you're doing? And Gav's in. Gav said he is in.
Hi, Gab. Hope all's well at home. And Enchanted Wood Designs has joined us.
Good evening.
Hey, Kevin. All right, there's my 1/2 inch tenon on the top. It's too long, of course, but that's okay. So next thing to do is the next element. I do want to come back and
Cheers, Mike. I thought
make
it
a
might
couple
be.
of marks. Rest my original leg on the tool rest and get it lined up basically with where that hole is. I want to mark this bead top and bottom, and then I can refer back to that at any time. Like Ruby said, that's a wonderful idea. I want to fill it there. I want to measure that. What's kind of fun, at least the way I do it, I don't measure. I'm going to use my calipers to see what the size of that is. And when that's the right size, I'll get that so it's not glaring quite so bad. Anyway, right there, that's where this fillet is that I'm measuring. I'll measure that down, and then I can make this curve all the way out to, I want to know what the size of that is, but I'm going to get this fillet first. So
Yeah, just make it a bit bigger
yeah,
before you start going down. That's the thing when you're doing legs and things like this, especially if you're doing table legs. If you're ever standing up and look at the table, you can only usually see 2 legs and maybe a couple of parts of the rear legs.
Right.
It's a little different when you're doing balusters or chair spindles and they're right close to each other.
Well,
Yeah.
there is that, yeah.
There we go. Now I want to measure. I want to measure the bottom end of this little cove here. It's an interesting story this lady had. She told me how she came about this chair. She went to a warehouse and she was going to buy, I don't remember how many pianos it was. It was quite a number of pianos she was buying. And she said they got them all loaded up and they were getting ready to leave. And the guy says, "Don't you want this last chair that's up here?" And she said, "The last chair?" And the guy said, "Yeah. Um, there's one last chair. It's up on the top shelf." And she said, "Well, let's go look at it and we'll see." Lo and behold, it's this chair that we're working with repairing today. And so she got it, and she found after she got it home that it had issues. And so, but anyway, it's a quite the nice chair. So I'm glad she stopped and got it. It's worth her time.
Mike is asking if the original chair was teak.
I
No,
don't think it was. I think it's just stained.
no, this has been stained. It very well could be poplar. It's not a very heavy, it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. Like I said, it very well could be poplar. This one's maple, and the other leg is probably that I have to do will probably end up being poplar.
Now Ray is asking what a fillet is, and a fillet is a small flat area, usually on the sides of a bead. It's kind of a transitional marker, so to speak.
And that's just what Gav's put in as well.
Yeah, I'll kind of show it to you here in just a minute when I get this I could move my tool rest up a wee bit. I can always tell when it's Tuesday.
Because you have us watching you.
Well, there's that. But anytime I want to say little or small, it comes out we.
There's
I've been with Paul.
slight influence there, is there?
I've been with Paul on Monday, and with Paul, everything is we. When he gets done and he starts to put some sanding sealer on something, he's going to put a wee taste of sanding sealer on it. So it kind of rubs off on me.
Use the term a wee taste. A wee bit, but not a wee taste.
Okay. I need to change. I tell you what, I'm going to turn off this one big LED light, and you guys can probably see just a little bit better.
Now, I'll be honest with you, Doug. Normally, I would make all my lines while the piece is relatively flat still.
Yeah. That's how a normal person would do it. You may be able to see right. Well, what I do with my pencil? I don't know what I did with it. Right there is a little flat area, and right up here you can almost see it. There's a little flat area here. Those are the fillets between that mark this cove.
Yeah, usually they tend to be approximately 1/16 of an inch in width on small turnings. Somewhere between 1/16 and an 1/8.
Yeah.
Turning and learning's just come in.
I'm so disappointed I was on mute a minute ago when you asked about your pencil. I said, but you didn't hear. Have you checked behind your ear?
Yeah. It's not there. Not there. I don't know what it did with it. It's probably on the floor. Okay, there's the first element done. So we've done actually two elements. We've got the tenon, this cove, and this fillet. You can see the fillet a little easier there. Next is this bead, which goes into that bead. Now what I'll do, similar to what Ruby said, I'm going to go ahead now and mark both of these beads and this fillet, because I want to get to this, but I don't want to go beyond it and make it too small. So this is where.
Now, you know where you have the cove there?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I would mark both sides of the cove, like the external part, the two fillets on each side, and then just make that entire area flat, and then it's very easy to make your cove in the center between them.
Ah, gotcha. There's an issue though. You're exactly right. But this fillet goes into this cove, and then this is not a fillet here. And
No,
it's
to the
smaller.
right of that is a fillet though.
I'm sorry?
Move your marker to a little to the left.
Here?
Left, there.
That's not a fillet.
No, to the right of that little area.
That little area is curved. It's a half bead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jamie's just come in. Good evening,
Jamie.
Hi, Jamie. Now, Jamie suggests that you should just send it to Wayne and it would be easier to do.
You're right. Would take a little longer, but
might be a little cheaper to send it to me.
Yeah, I'm sure Ruby could do this a lot better than me.
There was a day when I could do it a lot better, but it ain't today. Oh, there's my pencil. I laid it down on the.
I'm going to have to get you one of those magnetic pencil holders that.
Yes, you are, Ruby.
I
You
ran
could
across one of those, and I should have bought it when I saw it. I just didn't. I
Lee
don't know
Lee
why.
Valley Lee Valley carries them.
Oh, that's where it was. Yeah, I was hunting
I got
something.
one
And
from Ruby last November.
there you go. Okay, that's my
They're
two.
they're priceless.
That's my two beads, and of course they're different sizes. Unfortunately, I wish they were the same size. Same with that and that. I wish those two were the same size, and then I could do like Ruby and have it straight across here. But and I may do that anyway. I can make this a fillet because I'm going to replace both. I can make this a fillet and have it straight across here with a curve in the middle. That's a great idea, Ruby.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I can change it because I'm not trying to match the other one. Oh, good, 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 good.
And Mike says that he may have a new good customer. Apparently, they rent flowers and knickknacks to businesses that are trying to look swanky.
Haley's just come in. Good evening, Haley.
Hey, Haley.
And Ray, I haven't got the buffing mandrel yet. I've kind of been tied up with doing some commercial turning for the local wood mill.
I was telling Ruby and Doug before this that I was at a guy's wood mill yesterday at his house, and he's in the middle of making a crib for his new granddaughter, and it had like 40 spindles on it. But he wasn't using a lathe. He was doing all of the spindle stuff on his router table with the with router bits and running all of it down the length of it with round over bits. And I'm telling you, this looks way more fun than that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I did a crib for my son before he was born, and the spindles for that were actually slats, but the ends were both rounded. And I had to do a jig on the table saw, stick those slats in that jig and turn it, and it made the little round tenons. It would have been a lot more fun on a
Now,
on
Gav
here.
has said, this is going to come in handy for me. My missus wants me to turn new staircase balusters for our house. I would hope and should forget the idea, but she keeps reminding me. Go and watch Steve Jones, Gav. And Andy, the Valley Wood Turner's come in. Good evening, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
And Dell, I can't imagine that you're wrong there. The amount of work this man has put into that crib, he could have bought 10 of them.
Yeah. However,
it's an heirloom keepsake, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
right.
Well, and it's
Jimmy's just sent me a message.
I'm scared to ask.
Yeah, I'll read it first.
One hint if you have to do any of this kind of work, do what Doug's doing and work from the tailstock end towards the headstock.
Yeah. That's
And the reason behind that is that you leave a lot of the bulk of the wood at the headstock end, and it prevents it prevents issues like chatter and things like this. Okay, so I had an emergency eye appointment today because there was something wrong with my eyes and they needed a deeper dive into it. I came out and they told me there's an issue with my left eye. I said, I know, I'm blind in it. That was from Jamie, by the way. That wasn't one of mine.
Okie doke.
kind of a random story there, Jamie. All right, so there's that section that we were just talking about. That we're gonna make this fillet and make that a fillet, and they're going to be the same size with a simple cove in between. But I'm going to get these two beads. I want to mark those or mark the center.
Now, Jamie has just put in, I wish I were kidding. So that is probably not a joke. That's probably a true story.
Okay. All right. Then I do want
If it is, I hope it sure turns out well. Don't need anybody blind in one eye.
Turning and learning. If you have to do a spindle that's much longer than the one Doug's doing, I use a steady rest in the center,
Mm-hmm.
and I move it along as I'm turning.
And I'm assuming when you say moving it along, it starts out closer to the tailstock and then
Correct.
moves in. Yeah.
Yeah, there comes a point when you're turning at halfway that you'll move it to your right side, and it'll just follow you along.
Yeah.
Now, Frederick has said, is this what the old bodgers used to do? Now, the bodgers did things differently. They maybe used a treadle lathe. They maybe used just a, I forget what you call them now. I nearly said a sawhorse. There's not a sawhorse.
Well, back in the day when the bodgers used to do spindles, they didn't have tools like we do, like spindle gouges. And what they would use were all scrapers.
Mm-hmm. And oftentimes they were
They were
specially
already,
shaped.
yeah, they were already shaped for, like for doing this bead, you would have a scraper that's already that width and shape.
Jamie said he's been blind in one eye since birth, and for some reason they give me an emergency appointment, and they decided to tell me today.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't it interesting? So Jamie is blind in one eye. His left ankle is totally knackered. This is why he needs AGK with him all the time, so it stops him from walking around in circles.
Okay. You could hang around with me. I'm almost as bad.
All right. Got that down to size, but I need to get my.
And Mike has said he went on a bodgers course. It was surprising how accurate everything has to be, and the tenons aren't quite round to allow for shrinkage.
Now, Lucy suggested that Gav distract his wife by getting her into another hobby. And he says he can't afford more hobbies for her. Gav, all you have to do is teach her how to wood turn. And then if she wants spindles, she'll turn them herself.
And Enchanted Wood Designs has put in a shaving horse. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
God, it's been a long time since I've used one of those. Probably the early 70s.
Roy Underhill. I used to watch his show a lot.
Right.
I wanted to make a shaving horse so bad. Never did get around to it. Which was fine. I didn't need something else. I was just starting to turn a lot at that point, and so I didn't need a shaving horse and draw knives and all that fun stuff. I do have a couple of froze because of him, and I need to put handles in both of them.
I find for turning beads, I prefer to use a 3/8 beading parting tool. I find beads turn very, very easily with those.
Oh, Heather's in.
Hey, Heather.
I didn't notice Heather coming in.
Hi, Heather.
Still 2 or 3 weeks out on getting your new lathe?
We'll have to wait and see what Heather says.
Well, come on, David.
You know, your round carbides work well for those coves too.
Yeah.
And Dale from Maple Tree Studios has just come in.
Dale, good to see you.
Evening, sunshine.
From the land of the rampant haggis.
Okay.
And
Now,
Heather gets her lathe on the 11th of May.
all right. How exciting. How exciting.
Now,
All
Mike is
right.
asking, is there a shortcut way to get a Greek key feature? I like the feature, but don't fancy all the work.
I'm not familiar with a Greek key feature.
I'm not familiar with that either. I'm going to have to. I'm not going to do it now. I'll look that up. The ones Doug's lives finished.
Ah, excuse me.
Bless you.
Felt fortunate to get my face shield up.
A
I'd had my-
decorative border constructed from a continuous line shaped into a repeated motif.
Okay.
Has it got some examples there?
Larry's in. Evening, Larry.
You know, Doug, my phone just gave me a notice that you're on.
You might want to tune in.
Oh, Dale has said this is Dale from Maple Trees. And Scott is obviously up there doing some electric work. Evening, folks. So many to say hello back to. Be right back. Scott's had a tumble. How unusual. He'll go and help him up.
Scott's.
And Dell, that was I was going to suggest there, not necessarily pyro, but like a laser engraver to do those motifs. They're very, very detailed and could continue. I don't know.
Intricate, I think the word is you're looking for.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to have to look at this.
Our Mother's Day is in May.
Second Sunday.
Our Mother's Day was last month, I think.
I believe it was.
Yep.
Which seems odd to me. Well, you would have thought that'd been a universal kind of thing.
Yeah, for the Greek key thing, I would suggest either a laser or a CNC.
All right. Now, I want the size of this big bead here.
And JP has said, this is one heck of a fill-in. How big is the box going to be?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Leave it to Jamie, right? Right about where do I want the fat part of this? Keep my fingers out of there. That doesn't feel good. The fat part goes right there.
That's going to be one of those bowls you turn using the axle of a tractor or something.
No, a VB36 could manage.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
one of the biggest things I saw turned on a VB36 was a guy who turned a 600-pound piece of wood into a speaker cone.
I don't do big pieces anymore. If I can't pick it up and lift it onto the lathe, I'm not going to do it.
It becomes a safety issue, doesn't it, Ruby?
Now, JP has said he reckons his lathe could manage it. Yes, Jamie, your lathe could manage it. Your workshop couldn't. You'd have to move the lathe out into the back garden.
Yeah, the big problem is you pull muscles and hurt yourself getting big pieces. For a long time, what I was doing was I would use a cart to get it downstairs to the foot of the bed of the lathe, and then I wrapped a large band around it, and I had a motorized lift above the lathe, and I would use that to pull it up, and then just push it onto the spindle, and still, it's just too much.
Yeah, it seemed like somebody just demoed on Worldwide Woodturners in the last month or two that had a hoist above their lathe for that.
Yep.
Well, I still have the hoist above my lathe for getting stuff up there.
Matthias Beer or somebody? Who was?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of young neighbors, and if they're available, sometimes I'll get one of them to hoist it up for me.
Now, JP is saying the max diameter he can do on his lathe, which is the Harvey 60, I think he's got, is 44 inches. The max I can do on the VB is from spindle down to the floor.
Well, my no, not a Vic Mark, my stubby, I could do a 4-foot piece if I had to, which was why I originally had that lathe. Because sometimes I did have to do pieces that wide.
I can turn the headstock on my DVR XP, my Nova DVR XP, but I don't have a banjo for outboard turning. So I guess I could use a tripod or something off of the floor.
Oh yes, definitely.
Instead, but so I could do really big, but I don't think I have the desire.
Dealer said to me, dig a trench.
There you go.
I'm glad you switched to a skew for that part, Doug.
Well, it's just something different.
No, I find it those shapes, that makes it a lot easier to do. And it looks like that's the oval skew.
I'm sorry, what?
Is that the oval skew?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Right, now Jamie said he's seen people make tool rests in concrete buckets. Yeah, the Wyoming wood turner did that for outboard turning. He's not very sure how safe it would be. It seemed to work for him.
Have to be a pretty wide bucket. Problem would be if you ever have to move it.
Yeah, tires. People do tires full of cement with a pipe coming up. There was a guy several years ago. In fact, I have printed off his plans. He came up with a universal outrigger tool rest, but you build it off of your lathe so that it's still connected. He had a theory that if it was connected to the lathe, it'd be a lot more steady. And it makes sense. There we go.
That all depends on how heavy your lathe is, I would have thought.
Well, that's partly
would
true.
think so.
And he had it adjustable, so it was on the floor. It was touching the floor, but also, it's kind of like the VB Steady tool rest. It would touch the floor, but still got plenty of connection.
That looks like it's coming along nicely, Doug. Heather says she's also getting a 16. Are you talking a 16-inch lathe?
I'm sorry, what about a 16-inch?
Well, Heather just put in that she's also getting a 16. So I'm wondering if that's another lathe with a 16-inch.
Oh, that's a good question.
Ah, 16-inch Laguna bandsaw and a shop dust collector.
There you go.
That'll work.
I would love to have a 16-inch bandsaw. The one I've got is not.
Now, Katie's just come in. Good evening, Katie.
Katie, how you doing?
And Norman Greenwell has also joined us. How you,
All right, Norman.
A lot of people don't understand that when you measure a bandsaw, the 16 inches refers to the distance from the blade to the left side of the machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the throat.
It's not
It's the throat size, not the height size.
right.
And yeah, I'd like to have 12 plus inches of resaw ability.
Well, yeah, I've got a jet bandsaw, and that does 12 inches of resaw.
There you
And
go.
Dale from Maple Trees has said, Wayne Clasper, do me a favour and call an ambulance. He's put his back out lifting this tumble paramedic he's got here. I tell you, you can just about guarantee when Scott goes up to Dale's to do some electrical work, he has some sort of fall. Just about guarantee it.
Yeah. As I remember it, I think it's happened every single time. Okay, where am I going with that? I'm going right here.
And Lucy is asking Katie, all ready for tomorrow? Katie, at the moment, is in the final stages of pregnancy, and in fact, she's going to get induced tomorrow. And up to now, she's packed her bags about 4 times.
Well, we wish you all the best and good luck with that.
Okay, just double check and make sure I've got the right size, and I do. That'll go right there. Man, we're making progress here. Love it. I'm gonna have to get an actual parting tool. This is an old Shopsmith parting tool. I tend to use stuff until it's gone.
Yep, I do too.
This was laying around, and
now, Gav has said he's never done copy turning. Would a stencil of the shapes be a good idea for a beginner? It depends on the length that you're actually doing, because it's going to be difficult, especially when you're talking about doing stair balusters. To get a stencil of that, a storyboard would be a hell of a lot better.
yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't use a stencil anyway. The storyboard's much better.
Absolutely, no question.
And Mike is asking if you consider just drilling out the old leg and pressing a new tendon in. You could do
the
that.
problem was this tendon up here broke off, so I have to and that can be drilled and a 1/2 inch dowel put in. That's cheesy, and they don't hold up as well as if it's a solid piece of wood.
No, not at all.
Okay, what I want to do now.
Mike has said, hot curry worked to induce his ex-missus. Yeah. Seeing as how she's an ex, you probably fed her that, Mike.
Oh dear.
Let's go with the Pete Ravencraft theory. You got the tools, you ought to use them all, right?
Yes. Only it's hard to use Pete's tools because he has them all mounted on the wall so high, you need a step ladder to reach them.
Looks like we've broken out the Easy Wood hollower there.
Yep, number one hauler.
It works.
Yeah, fantastic for doing those little coves.
Yeah, and you see how it works on spindles? It works on spindles. As
Well,
long as you have
I used it
as-
this morning.
as long as you have the tool rest at the right height and the tool going in dead on center.
Yep.
Made short work out of that little cove. I'll come in, just clean it up just a little bit with the spindle gouge. Ruby, do you, with your spindle gouges, do you subscribe to the Mark Soleil method of sharpening the spindle gouges?
Which method does Mark use?
He sharpens the spindle gouge just like he does his bowl gouge. Uses the same jigs and everything, but then cuts back the heel
Heel off?
tremendously.
Yeah, I
you
take
mean
the heel back.
like Cindy does.
He
Yeah,
ends up with like an 1/8 inch bevel or something on it. It's really
Yeah, you only need
tight.
about the first 1/8 inch of the tool to do the cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see I've got a little small cutting bevel, and then the rest of the heel has been cut back pretty tremendously.
Yeah,
Mine is
that's
not
a
as
bit
sharp as Mark's, but
that's a bit like Cindy Drozda's detailing spindle gouge.
yes. Once I changed my grind to that, sitting there watching him do some turning, and it was just amazing to watch. And I changed on my 3/4 inch, and it made all the difference in the world. So I went and bought. I had a 3/4, and I went out and I bought these two, 1/2 inch and a 3/8, and both of them have that same grind. Still working on the back side of both of them, but it makes all the difference in the world. Tremendous.
Yep.
They just cut so much cleaner.
Everything that Mark did in that Worldwide Woodturners demo, which it's online on YouTube, you can find it. Everything he did was with the 1/2 inch spindle gouge.
Yes, he uses this for 90% of all his turning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that's one of my favorite tools.
Now, Paul Hunter is asking, Doug, are you going to show this stream to your customer so they can see how much work is involved?
She already has the link.
Hopefully she's watching.
She was going to be traveling, so okay. I want to turn that down to. I got to measure that out. Yeah, I sent it to her in a text message, and she said, "Oh, we should be traveling at that time." I said, "Well, that's the joy of YouTube. It'll always be there. I don't take my videos down; they stay up." And so here we go. I want to take it down to that side.
Can I just answer? You remember Dale was asking me to phone for an ambulance. Well, I did phone for an ambulance, and they turned around and said, "What, for him?"
Enchanted Wood
Oh,
Design says that your bulb needs more curve towards the base.
I'm sorry. What needs more curve?
Your
That's
shape on the right there. Right.
yeah,
Yeah. You can
yeah,
see it needs more curve.
more curve. You've got it going pretty straight from the bulbous end down towards that bead.
It needs to curve in, right?
Oh, here.
Okay, no,
The other
to
No,
side.
no, no. Other side,
the
other side.
other side
No,
of the
other
bead.
side. You're
Yeah.
right.
Gotcha.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. It needs to come out there. Yeah.
Yeah, do it now before you go any further.
Before I forget.
No, before it
Before you
gets
get too much chatter.
right, it's going to vibrate quite a bit.
Yeah, that's like a real shallow cove going into that.
I find that
No.
cove is easier to do with the skew.
Frederick is saying that that's one accessory I wish the Axminster 406 had, and that's the on some of the jets and other lathes. They have the bits on the far side of the headstock, so you can put a piece in, so it makes it easier to copy.
My
That
power
small
mat-
modifications made all the difference in the world from our view.
Oh, yes, from mine too.
Yeah.
I've got one on the Powermatic, but I don't use it.
Just to clean it up a little bit, come in from the other side as well.
And Rob from Klingspor has joined us. Good evening, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Evening, Rob.
You're just in time. He hasn't got to using sandpaper yet.
All right, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. All right, now I want this to be this size. Yes. Double check. Yep, which is going to be almost the same size as that fillet.
Lucy's campaigning for a magnetic pencil for you there, Doug.
His
Now,
wood is starting to jump a little bit.
Mike's replying to Gav and saying that just thought, I've hardly used it, but he's got a trend router lathe that is supposed to be good for making stair spindles. I can't remember what length the trend router lathe is, to tell you the truth.
I couldn't answer that.
I often thought about getting one way back in the late 80s, early 90s. For doing things because they're very good for doing not just plain spindles, but you can do the barley twists and everything on them.
Well, I've got a machine in the garage that'll do that, and I don't use it at all. It takes more time to clear it off and set it up, and I can do the work usually on one of my other lathes.
Well, let's just send
And
them.
Mike said it's about 36 to 40 inches. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They actually work very well.
Yes, I've used one.
Okay.
And Scott's just come in, Hampton Wood
Now,
Turning.
Doug, you marked both sides of the beads.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also put a mark above where that half bead goes down on the left side of the bead.
Yeah, right there.
Right there.
Yep. Yeah, because that'll give me, actually, Well, this is ever so slightly smaller than that, which is ever so slightly smaller than that.
Yep.
So, so what I want to do next is I want to set the diameter of this on there, and then I can go down in here and make this bead. Then I can do, come down repeating myself.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
make a mark where the center of the big bead that has the hole on it is.
Well, that's easy. That's where the center or the bottom of the hole.
Yeah, if you make that so it's all the way around, then you can see where to make your curve from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Ray's having to go back to work. See you later,
All
Ray.
right. See you,
And
Ray.
did we say hello to Scott Hampton?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Okay, hi Scott.
From the great state of California.
Yeah, I hear it might become another Canadian province.
Maybe. Maybe.
Nice one, Ruby.
Actually, there are a number of states that have indicated they're interested. Well, it would make sense for Alaska to join Canada.
Well, sure it would.
Scott demoed 2 years in a row at SWAT, and so I got used to really seeing him there, getting to hang out. And I don't think you're going to be there this year, are you, Scott?
That's one of the turning shows I would love to go to. It's just not in the cards.
Yep, same here.
It's really a fun show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just the timing of it for me is usually bad. Okay, let's see. That's where I'm at.
Oh, the Scott has said, talking about the Canada thing, along with Washington State and Oregon. So
Yep.
let's get this right. Trump gets Greenland, and Canada gets Alaska, Washington, Oregon, and California.
I'm not sure that's a good trade.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
I think it will be for Canada.
Well, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it depends on which side you're on. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait till tomorrow night because by tomorrow night I find out when I'm headed for Australia and New Zealand.
Excellent.
That's we've talked about this before. That's one of those trips I'd love to go with you.
I'll make room in my suitcase if you want to come, Doug.
The problem is I'm not very flexible.
Oh,
It sounds like a grand idea, but I am not very flexible.
I'm also looking forward to working with some of their different woods that they have over there.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
They have some wonderful woods in Australia and New Zealand. Just fabulous stuff. Oh, that was the tool that went flying a while ago.
Now, Rob made a good point. He says Trump wants Greenland, but at his swearing in, it was cold outside, so they had to go inside.
And Scott's just answered you there, Todd.
Yeah, I see. And Scott, if you make your way to Dallas, I'll make sure you get to SWAT. So you make it happen.
Katie, you're going to have to let us all know if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah, the
I think
world
that
is waiting now.
I think that's already been decided, Ruby.
I believe it has. Little boy,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
sure looks like it's going to be a baby boy.
Yeah, it is. It is a boy. She had called a baby shower
So,
the other day.
yeah. I just happen to think, how many people are holding their breath, waiting for me to launch this?
Oh, not me, not tonight.
Oh, it could definitely happen still.
No, it's not going to happen, Doug. I've already told you. I forbid you to let it happen. You're just like
That-
my husband. I have to give you a whole list of what you're not allowed to do.
That may be a commentator's curse there.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said anything. Well,
You've heard of self-fulfilling prophecies?
Well, it
That's
just
right.
skated on him right there. So.
oh yeah, I let it.
That's why for doing those little beads, I prefer that beading parting tool.
Now, Dale has said SWAT would be a 700-mile longer trip than Level Up, which is 800 mile, which is over 800 mile for him.
Hmm.
Well, given those options, I would go to Level Up because I think that's going to be a kick and a half there. That's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
I wish.
And for people that don't know, Level Up is a an event that's being put on by Worldwide Woodturners up in Wisconsin Falls,
Wisconsin, yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Up in Wisconsin, which is a little west of Green Bay, and I think it's a year from this coming fall, a year from this September, maybe.
Yeah,
So in
yeah,
2026.
September 26th, yep.
And that's going to be a that's going to be an event to not miss. That's for sure.
Yep.
I'll tell you, the only way I'm getting there is if I win the lottery.
Yeah, me too, probably. That's right in the middle of marching band season, and I know that sounds like a crazy thing, but my daughter will be a senior. That'll be her senior year marching season, and that's just too much.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Oh, Katie's having to go. She's going to try
All
and
right,
get an
Katie.
early night before the big day tomorrow.
Katie, you have a great night.
And Mike says, no pressure, Doug. Just pretend Steve Jones is watching you. You do know who Steve Jones is, don't you, Doug?
I do.
Okay.
I've had conversations with Steve Jones.
So have I.
I was watching one of the videos he did, which tend to be short anyway, and it just dawned on me how sharp his tools had to be to do some of the stuff he was doing. And so I promptly found how to message him and sent him a message, and I said, I'm trying to learn the skew. It's giving me a fit. I see on your videos that obviously your tools are extremely sharp. How do you sharpen them? And he sent me a reply back in about 10 minutes and was very kind and gracious and explained it very well. It's mostly in the stone he uses. It's not a technique of sharpening, but the stone that he was using.
And he doesn't use a jig either.
No, he doesn't, because it's straight across. He just has to put it right up there on the proper angle. But he uses a ruby stone instead of a aluminum oxide. So
yeah, you can either use either a ruby stone or even a white stone. A white stone works just as well as a ruby stone.
You might want to curve that a little more, Doug, on the bead.
yeah, I do. But I also wanted to start preparing this one or these next two. But they come down to the same size as that, so I don't have to do a whole lot. Just need to take them down. We're getting there. Anyway, I thought, yeah, for somebody of his caliber to take the time and not say, well, you dummy, you ought to know how to sharpen a simple skew by now. He took the time and told me.
Yeah, I conferred with him once. I had a very intricate bedpost to do for a lady, and it had been made originally in England. So I described to him how I was going to approach this one feature on it and asked if that's how he would have done it. And he said, yep, that was exactly it. So I made my posts and sent him pictures, and he was pleased with them. So
Good.
Now, Frederick is asking you, Doug, are you going to colour match that? If so, how are you going to go about it? Because he usually makes a right mess of doing that type of thing.
one suggestion I'll make right now: don't sand any spindles that are going to be colored above 120. If you do, you fill the pores in and they don't take the color very well.
Yeah, I think now when Steve Jones, I keep on coming back to Steve Jones, when he does his stair spindles and things like that, he always says that he only sands to 120 because the customer wants to colour them.
Yeah.
Now, if I was Doug, and of course I'm not, I would take a piece of this scrap wood, turn it down, and do a little experimenting with some of the coloring on some scrap of this same wood if I have it available.
The thing with the color of the original, if you mix every color you've got, you're going to get something close to that because everything turns brown anyway.
Yes. What I'm going to do, I've got some dark walnut stain that will go on first. And then we'll go from there. And I'm not concerned about getting it dead on. This is not it's not a ancient piece, so I'm not worried about being historically accurate on the color. So, but I'll get that dark walnut will get close, and if it's not exactly what I want the first time, I'll put another coat on it.
Scott Hampton's saying it's a 3-day drive for him to get to level up, which I'm sure it is, but it's really 6 days of driving because you got to drive back too.
Well, that's true,
and that's a lot. 6 days
Yeah.
of driving to go to a 3 or 4 day event. So that could be a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be the best part of a day for me. I've already got.
Oh, Mark's just come in.
pretty well
Gentleman
committed.
returner. Good
Hey,
evening,
Mark. Good to see you. No students
Hi,
today,
Mark.
eh? Or they're all gone already?
Well, there will be. It's nearly 9:15.
Yeah. Yeah, that time difference, I forget about it.
And Mike is asking, are you going to ding this up with a brass key, Doug, to give it an aged patina?
Nah.
No, it's just going to look new.
Usually
Well,
when I
no,
do it,
if you only sand into 120, it's probably not going to look new anyway.
usually when I do these spindles, I leave it to the customer to do the coloring how they want it.
Yeah, that's what. God, I forget who I was talking about now. But that's what he does.
Steve?
Steve Jones, yeah, that's what he does. If the customer wants to color it, that's up to them. He just does the turning.
Yeah, that's how most people would do it. They would tell the customer from the very beginning, I'll turn it, sand it, but I'm not going to color it. And I've done that before. I didn't even talk about coloring with this lady. I didn't need to. The Minwax Dark Walnut is pretty close to the color that this chair already is. I meant to measure that.
Heather said, I'm not sure I want to detour to Guatemala if I go to level up. Did
I
you mean
agree.
Guatemala? Now, did you mean Guatemala there or Guantanamo Bay?
No, it would be a combination of both. I agree, Heather.
All right.
And Mark has said his production pieces don't get coloured by me. They couldn't afford my time if I did that.
Yeah, this started off as one leg
Doug,
and
do
two stretchers.
you want to move the camera back towards the headstock a wee bit, if you can? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ronald Todd is over 15 hours and 996 miles for him to go to level up. And Dale has said, this is Old Man River, it's 892 miles for him. It's a bit farther for me.
Well, you can come and visit me instead, Wayne.
Yep, now there's a plan.
I've got an extra bedroom here. I've got extra lathes, extra tools. You'd be all set up. You can bring Doug with you.
Go to Ruby's by way of Kentucky.
That also sounds like a plan, but I still don't have the money to do it. I wish.
All right, I'm going to switch over to a little bit bigger spindle gouge. All right, we're just over the hour, aren't we?
Mike has said, Wayne won't come unless you get extra wine, Ruby. Now it's been just over a year since I was down at Mark's place, the gentleman wood turner. He went out especially and shopped for red wine before I got there.
Well, I would have to take you out shopping for some, Wayne, because I don't drink wine. And you'd have to pick out what you want. My preference, believe it or not, is an apricot brandy.
All right, okay.
A little bit of that over some ice is just a nice touch to make you want to go to sleep at night. And Heather, you're welcome to come down anytime and visit as well.
And Rob from Clinksporo said, Wayne, if you go, I can help carry your bags. Rob, you can. I will agree with that. You can help carry my bags to the aeroplane, and then you can go back home.
Wait a minute, Wayne. He might bring some sandpaper for us both.
Oh, Ruby, I said to Rob on I think it was Terry's live on Sunday. I've got enough abrasive from Klingspor to last me for 2 lifetimes.
Yeah, you did say that. Then Gav showed his supply today, I guess it was. And he's got a pretty good supply too.
Rob says, geez, now I'm hurt. I have feelings, you know. Well, Rob, you're still welcome to come over to my place anytime. Oh, Mike said where he used to live in France, it was famous for its apricot brandy.
Yeah.
It was very cheap from little farm caves. It's very hard to find over here.
Lucy said, Wayne, you can cut holes in the bottom of your suitcase and I'll hide in it and scurry it along for you. Nice one, Lucy.
Oh, where Rob says a lot of his family are based in Canada. You'll have to tell me whereabouts, Rob. You know, that's been one of the best things about wood turning is the large number of people from all over the world that I've gotten to know over the years.
Absolutely.
Well, if it wasn't for wood turning, I wouldn't know you and Todd and Wayne.
Exactly.
Or Pete, my friendly giant, or Mark. And I met Rob at Harrogate last year or earlier in the year.
I think the first time, or the reason that that Ruby and I got together is that she had done a water drop platter, which I made a comment on for a wood turning club, and then obviously I knew Rob Summerlin, and Rob and Ruby know each other very well, and we just started talking to each other.
Yeah. Gee, I don't remember how I ended up hooking up with Mark and Pete and Terry.
Well, I think you originally hooked up with Mark, because I used to UM for Mark when he was doing a lot of lives, and he talked about his history and everything, and you asked me about Mark, and I told you about him, and then you got in touch with Mark.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Scott's
back in what was it, Wayne? 2019 maybe, or even just a little earlier than that when you started doing 3 or 4 lives a week. And
Oh God, I remember that. My life.
it was Wayne and Mark and Dale and Scott and golly, there's just a whole
Jamie.
gang of folks. Jamie, yes, Jamie.
Yeah.
Ear, everybody earworm for everybody, and
Scott said that he was scheduled to be an instructor at Level Up, but dropped out due to some conflicts with those in charge of the event. He was going to teach how to make ornaments.
Okay.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Scott. Because of a conflict with some of those in charge, I don't show gallery or volunteer to demonstrate at Worldwide Woodturners anymore.
Yeah, Mark's put in, going back to what you said, Doug, about the amount of lives I used to do. That was Wayne's mental days.
yeah.
And
And
Mark,
Lucy's put in that she'll never forget the first time that her and Andy met me. That was at Yandles a few years ago. What a weekend that was. I travelled from here down to Kent to pick up Jamie because Jamie was demonstrating. Uh, and basically, if I hadn't picked him up, he would have to try and get some sort of train service across there. So I went down to Kent, picked up Jamie, went across to the southwest of England to Yandles. We had a cock up with the hotel. Did the demo, met Lucy and Andy, took Jamie back home that same evening, and then travelled back up to my place the following morning. That was some weekend, that was.
and
Sounds
Mark,
like it.
Mark, just for the record, I never felt sorry for you. I just tried to encourage you.
Jamie said, I remember the first time I met Wayne. He hasn't been sober since.
Now,
Some
Mike,
things you just can't recover from.
Yeah.
Mike
the
is
first
that,
time, I think the first time I properly met Jamie was at it was either the first or the second Maker Central. The proper time I met Jamie, and we actually found out that I was Jamie's dad was in the army as well, and I was in the same corps as Jamie's dad, which was the Remy. Oh no, yeah, sorry, Jamie. First met you at UKIS, but then we got to know each other better at Maker Central.
I've never met Jamie in person, but spent many an hour in live chats on Google Chat back in the day with media network media. What the heck? Oh, Jamie will know the name of it and put it in. Makers Media Network or something. Can't remember the name. Makers Media Network. Yeah. Since those days, Google changed their services, and I don't know if anybody from there even chats anymore like that.
The annoying thing with chats these days is that because Messenger stopped doing chats and things like that, about the only time you can start doing this is on Teams, and that is absolute, excuse my language, crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy, we are all getting old. Some of us are getting older than others.
I keep feeling where that hole is right there, and that drives me crazy. I want to sand it. Dun dun dun. Rough sanded. Got some more sanding to go, but here we go.
can I see that left end? That just ends like that? Interesting.
Yeah, that's the foot. That's the bit that sits on the ground.
Yeah, this will get sawn off like this. This is on an angle.
Okay.
So once it's installed in the chair, I'll stand it, upright or upside down actually, so that I can see the angle and cut it to the right angle. So there we go. There's one.
Now, Marcus said, Hangouts used to be awesome. I've never been so drunk as was with some of you nutters. Yeah, Mark, that was probably the night that you were drinking vodka and nearly bought a pole to start pole dancing.
Yes, Mark the pole dancer. Yes, we remember. And then shortly after that came the pink tutu.
Yeah, Jamie, I miss a few of those that passed on. Patrick was a special person to me. He helped me so much.
Now, the way I'm looking at that this hole ended up perfectly. All the elements are lining up just right all the way down. So I'm really pleased with that. So that what I'll do with the next one, I won't cue off of this one. I'll cue off of this original to make the next one.
Yeah.
And they should come out pretty close to the same all the way down.
That looks great.
Okay, not a lot of people will know about this, but Jamie's put in #Fluffy, and that's referring to Mark.
Okay, let's see if I can activate this camera again. There we go. This camera went crazy the other day. It would come active for 30 seconds and then it would freeze up again. And I could not get it to quit freezing. It it was crazy. So I just turned it off and now it's working beautifully. Of course, I had it on about 6 hours that day. So that's part of it. So anyway, there again, what I started to say about all this earlier, if we keep our ears open, it may not be a bowl that somebody wants or something of that nature. Vase, bud vase, could be any of those kinds of things that we typically turn. It may be a spindle that somebody wants. And Ruby, I don't know what your experience is. I've heard several people who are primarily spindle turners who say they can make a lot more money doing spindles and replicating spindles than they ever could turning bowls and the like.
Well, my advice is that if you get a chance to do some of this kind of thing, like Doug, you're going to find when you do your next spindle, it's going to take you half the time that one
Oh
did.
yeah, yeah.
And
Because I was
the more you do of these type of things, you develop a pattern for how you do it, and you become
Yep,
faster at it. But
definitely.
it refines your turning skills and makes you a better turner.
hmm
Especially when somebody who does furniture renovations comes along and asks you to do quadrants.
Yeah,
right.
and I have to admit I've made a lot more money doing spindles than I
Yeah,
do making bowls and stuff.
yeah. And along with what you said, the more spindles you turn in general, the easier they become. So
Oh, definitely,
it's
yeah.
not just it's not just
All of your turning becomes easier because think about it. Everything that you turned on that is the same as on a finial. Like
sure,
finials become a piece of cake after a while.
absolutely, absolutely, and
Yeah.
even tur- turning this cove here or this cove. You know, what am I doing? I'm hollowing out just like I do on a bowl, except I'm using a different tool. I could have used my bowl gouge and done that whole thing without any problem.
Hmm.
Just between the spindle gouge and the skew, it just comes out easier. So
Now, Rob's put in there's another show coming up in Daventry in the UK, and him and SK Crafts has got a stand there. Mike is asking when is that? It's in May. It's I can't remember the exact date, but it's in
next
May,
month.
and it's a bit too far for me to travel. So I'm afraid I won't be. Oh, 9th and 10th of May, the Rob's
Okay.
put in.
No, I can't fly over for it. Sorry, I'm demonstrating at a couple of clubs that time.
Trying to think. I've got a demo in May at the 3rd. Yes, May the 3rd on a Saturday. Same place I've been doing Easy Wood demos up in Dayton, Ohio. Those are fun. The manager and the store guys they're all very courteous and they like me coming in. And I've got a couple of regular attenders that come to those as well. So it's a lot of fun.
Now,
Um,
Mark's just put in that the spindle looks great, Doug.
oh, thank you, Mark.
Um,
Thank you.
okay, can I just say, a week tomorrow, I will be doing a live.
Yes.
Yay! I've
Um, I,
already
I,
got. Go
I'll
ahead.
probably not put the link in. I haven't set the link up yet, but I'll probably not put the link on until Doug's live next Tuesday.
That'll be fine. And with that, let me say I've already got the live scheduled for next week. I have just taken a part-time job, and I hope I'll find out tomorrow what all that entails, if I'm going to be able to continue on Tuesdays or not. Um, because it is part-time, I'm kind of at their beck and call a little bit. Um, but my department manager, I'm told, usually can work with me. So I'm going to be talking with him tomorrow or her. I'm not sure who it is. I'll be talking to the department head tomorrow, and I'll see if I can work out Tuesdays as well as another day.
You mean your costs over there in the States have gotten so high you now need to take on a part-time job?
That's exactly right. No, the cost of bin high. It's just my wife has been the only wage earner for a couple of years now, and it's starting to catch up to us. And then we've got a graduation to go to in June and a wedding in July, and then I got to start saving for Level Up September a year. So it's kind of tough with just one wage coming in,
Yeah.
but between a part-time job and there's a couple other possibilities, it's just one of those
Now,
things that,
I know Scott and Ruby have been having a bit of a chat about worldwide wood turners. But he has put in, I realise I'm on a bit of a tangent now about worldwide wood turners. I apologise to anyone I've offended. Another note, I'm tired of 30-minute promotions of level up during each meeting. Tangents over.
okay.
I'm saying nothing. I'm okay, because I'm not going to go and upset people, because once I start upsetting people, people start to get upset. So I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I upset enough people when I'm not even trying. I don't want to. I don't want to try.
Yeah, that can happen too. So anyway,
Yeah.
Apparently I do too, Todd.
yeah,
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 I've spoken to both Doug and Ruby about various things, so I'll just leave it there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Can we
that's
go
all we
back
need to do.
to Doug's piece?
Yeah.
One other point that I'd like to make when you're finishing that up, Doug,
Uh-huh.
a very final sanding, it would be to just with handheld paper sand with the grain, especially on any flat areas.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you only sand when it's turning, you'll get radial lines around it.
Exactly.
So, like where your hand is, and on that
Yep.
bigger piece to the right,
Uh-huh. Like here.
you want to, especially there, you want to make sure you're sanding with the grain.
Absolutely. I was just looking at this. This has to come down just a little further. It's a little big yet. So I'll take that down. This will all go to 120, and then I'll see about doing a little coloring on it. If I can get it in the neighborhood of this one, I'll be real happy. And then by the time I put some finish on top of the stain, it ought to be quite nice. But I've got another leg, and I've got two of these. Well, I set it over
If
yonder
you're, if
somewhere.
you're coloring it, I would go with the suggestion to test your color on a scrap piece of the same wood.
Yeah, yeah. Except that these will be two different. The legs are going to be two different colors, or two different woods,
So you'll
which
end
is
up,
not a big deal either.
you can
It's
end
just,
up two different colors.
yeah, they could be, and if they're a little bit off in this particular case, it won't matter that much. I want them close, but yeah, if they're some scrap is a fine idea, and sand it. I've got scrap of this for sure, and when I do the other, I'll have some scrap of it without any issue. In fact, I've got a whole piano of it. I was given a piano, and I worked Monday, I guess yesterday, for about 2 hours, working on taking some of it further apart than what I did to bring it home. So, anywho, it's there. I've got poplar out my ears with a little cherry mixed into it. They did a cherry veneer and some cherry boards that they glued all up in with this poplar, and it's a piano. They went cheap as much as they could, but made it look beautiful. So anyway, thanks for coming along, folks. It's been a good time. I've had a good time. Hope you have. I hope it hadn't been too boring for you, but we did a lot of work
Oh,
there.
that wasn't boring at all.
And we
It's
do want to wish Katie all the best tomorrow.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
absolutely. We want to hear the reports of a bouncing baby boy, healthy, 2 eyes and a nose all in the right place, 10 fingers, 10 toes, all in the right place, all those fun kinds of things. So, and I expect nothing different. I think it's going to be tremendous, and um, blessings for you guys, blessings on the baby, and hope you have a good time having that child. With that, I'm going to say hasta la vista.
Night.
And like I said, I'll try to be back next week if at all possible. If it's not, I'll put the word out so everybody knows what's going on and when I will be on. So because I'll have the whole schedule for the next week or two.
And you'll break the suspense and tell us what this new job is.
Yeah, I will. I will. I will. In fact, I'll tell you now. It's not a secret. The Ark Encounter, the life size model of Noah's Ark, is just down the road here in outside of Williamstown, Kentucky. I'm going to go to work for them, working in the retail section. Don't know what part of retail. They have a lot of retail in that. So I'm working for them and looking forward to it. It'll be a steady income, be able to afford some of the house improvements that we need, but it'll also help relieve my wife with some of the things that are coming up. So with the wedding, the graduation, this, that, and the other, it never seems to end. Every time we think we've come to the end, there's another expense coming. Can't imagine that. A 23-and-a-half-year-old son who's about to graduate from his he already graduated from basic training. Now he's graduating from AIT, which is the specific school for his job. And so we're looking forward to going over, seeing his graduation, bring him home. Maybe he'll cut grass or two a couple of times. Cut the grass a time or two.
Put him to work.
Yeah, that's well, he won't want to. He's going to go straight to where he and his fiance have bought a house. He's going to spend a few days there. Then he's going to come here because she's got to go home and she's got guard duty, and it goes on and on and on. It's typical 24-year-olds. Yeah, they cram every minute full. So that's the way it is. All right, guys. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Wayne, Todd, Ruby. Thank you guys for being a part and giving me some help and advice, keeping the chat going and all those fun things. Thank you, chat, for coming along as well. And I'm going to say we're going to be here next week. Excuse me. We'll be here next week as I choke on anyway. I'm going to be here next week. At least I plan to. If not, I'll put it out on social media and on here in the community tab and let these three know, and they can let everybody else know as well. So with that, I'm going to say bye-bye.
Night, everybody.